Hey Omar.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
Heck yeah. Wow. It's been a while actually, huh?
I don't even remember the last time we talked. When was that? Like, or when last time
Same
I
here.
saw you? It's got to be a few years.
Yeah. What's up? How's it going though?
Oh, it's good. I'm getting pretty sick and tired of being here in my apartment all by myself, but it's a good thing. At the end of the day, try to look at it that way. So I'm loving the sunshine. It is probably like the sunniest week we've had in like 6 months or something out here. So I'm in a really good mood aside from all that. And just working a lot. How are you doing?
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Pretty cool. Just like a lot of like self-development and just like using this time to grow and be creative and stuff.
Yeah, cool. What kind of stuff like projects are you working on?
Yeah, mostly like these podcasts and then
Hmm.
yeah, this is like it's cool. I feel like this is going to be fueling a lot of music eventually. Like it's I don't know, it's cool just like kind of reconnecting with a bunch of creative people is like gathering like I feel like all the creative energy kind of building up inside of me.
Oh, good. Do you have any like musical projects planned that you want to get started on, or you're still playing with playing your escape, right? And recorded an album
Yeah.
recently. Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
any like solo projects going on too, or just that? Or
Yeah, kind of like well, it's not really solo cuz I have like a lot of friends, but it's like we're doing hip hop. So I have like Plan Your Escape, which like we're going to be doing some hip hop stuff too, like for fun. And then I have like Dream Dungeon, which is where I'm recording at right now, like the studio we're in. So
I was gonna say this looks pretty professional. I
thanks.
love
I
it.
appreciate it. So yeah, but what about
Nice.
you? You've been like doing like EDM, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a new little, I mean, it's not new. I've been doing this kind of stuff for ages. That's why I went to the music production program at Cal and everything, but I never really like finished a song or like posted it for people to hear. I was always just kind of like, I'll just use it as a creative outlet and take some time out of my day once in a while to write some stuff or like make some sounds or something like that. But I never like took it seriously. So now I'm like, oh, I'm able to make it into like a hobby and like have some fun with it. So, um, yeah, it's been really fun. And I've taken the quarantine time to really like explore that a lot more. It's mostly what I do with my free time, and thank goodness I have that outlet. um, but it's been so fun. I've been connecting with people that like all over the world, online that we've been able to like talk about different like VSTs and like technologies and stuff that I didn't know about or like how to use them and like connecting over music and that's been really incredible actually.
So freaking tight. Like that's really important to just like have that creative outlet. And I think I don't know, it's pretty cool
Yeah.
that you're continuing to grow and like learn and then yeah, connect with people. There's
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
wanted to ask something though. Like what do you think like keeps us from like posting the things that we make? Like how
That's oh That's a good question. And I've thought about that a lot because I definitely fall into that category.
Yeah, same.
And I feel, at least on my end, and I'm sure it's different for everybody for different reasons, like it changes for every project. But I compare myself to the professionals that I listen to. I listen to so much music and I love it. It's my life, but I always compare my productions to theirs. And I'm like, oh, people aren't going to like this. Like, even if it's kind of good, even if it's not, whatever. I I don't know. I just feel so like insufficient sometimes, and I'm like, no one's gonna care, so why post it? But some people do, so you might as well. And then I think sometimes I don't know about everyone else, but I feel it's pretty common, at least for me, to start a project, start an idea, be really excited about it for a couple weeks, and then lose motivation to finish it, and then it just never gets done. And then like 2 years later, you're looking back through all your old project files, and you're like, wow, I forgot about that, and never gonna do anything with it. So I think that's a big reason too. But um, I don't know. Maybe there's also just a sense of being lazy about it. Like, I don't really want to set up a SoundCloud, or I don't really want to like create an Instagram to post your art or whatever, you know. Maybe that's part of it too. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely resonate a bit with every single one of those reasons. Like, just like another one, I think, is like being a perfectionist. It's like I know I can keep like doing stuff with it. Like I know I can keep like making it better. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been like a challenge that I've been a lot better at lately. Is like just like releasing things, and even if I know that I can keep like molding it, I know that I can be molding it forever, if that makes sense.
That's an interesting point. You have to come to a point where you're like, you're gonna let it go and put it out in the world and just hands up. That's all I'm gonna do. But like, how do you find that point? Like, how do you at least decide when you've reached that point?
Usually like I just do it without thinking. It's like, okay, this is done. Like I can't. I just need to like just like let it go, and then like whatever thoughts I have after that, I kind of disregard them. It's like, I mean, like I acknowledge that the thoughts are there, but it's just like, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, on to the next one kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
another one is like all I don't know, like let's say like I made like a hip hop instrumental the other day, and so I knew like all the elements were there. So I was like, okay, perfect. Now I just need to mix it. So there was a point there where I knew like at least like the composition, like everything was finalized. And I think the reason that worked out is because I had the intention of like I want this to be like super open and just not a lot of elements. Like I want it to be like as simple as possible. So that was like the first thing that really helped me out. And then when I was mixing it, I just like I think I went back and forth to my car to listen probably like 4 times. And that fourth time, I just listened to it like over and over again. Like I had it on repeat for, I don't know, probably like half an hour. And I'm just like, okay, like now it's done. like, like once I want to keep it on repeat. And yeah, so that's like, those
And
are
you
something.
stop hearing the elements in it, and it all just blends together after a while.
I think it's like capturing that feeling. Like once it starts making me feel good, it's like, okay, this is awesome. Then that's when I know, because there's like a logical part that's like, oh well, you can like still like do this and like still like what if you tried this kind of thing. But when it's just like no, like right now, like my head's bobbing and like I feel it in my body and it's like, okay, this is it. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
discerning between the two.
Yeah. And then you could like think about what elements of the song make you feel that way, and like pursue those a little bit more, not necessarily like exploit them, but emphasize them a little bit, and um,
Yeah,
start dropping the things that don't really do anything.
yeah, straight up, that's wisdom right there.
Yeah. um, yeah. One thing I was kind of thinking about one of the reasons that sometimes artists don't put out their stuff is that they don't really have a reason to, like a deadline or something. So I found that like a lot of the stuff, like there's nobody waiting for me to like put something out. Like I'm gonna do it on my own time, and then my own time doesn't really, like, I don't hold myself accountable to that. So I find like, I don't know, I'm entering this one like remix contest right now, and I'm not gonna win, but like having a deadline for that is like making it like, okay, I have to actually like do this by a certain time. I have to kind of keep myself to a schedule, and it's kind of fun. It's a way to hold yourself accountable to that. And um, I don't know if there's like a way to set a deadline without, I don't know, someone else's influence or whatever, but
Yeah,
that
I feel
helps.
you. It definitely helps to have like an accountability partner or like an event that you need to like finish by.
Yeah. Yeah. So
The
I
one
don't
thing
know.
that I'm doing with these podcasts is it's like I'm determined to release one a day for this month. So that's been pretty cool. It's like just giving myself that challenge is keeping me disciplined.
Yeah, I really like that. Do you do it like the same time every single day, or just kind of whenever it works for whoever you're talking to? Or
Oh well, I'm like filming like probably like 2 a day sometimes or 3 a day, but I'm like scheduling them to release every day. So it's
oh,
like,
perfect.
yeah.
Cool.
So heck yeah. So because like this month is like for 2020. and and I'm like,
Special holiday.
yeah, it's like a holiday month.
Hmm.
So I'm releasing them all at 4:20 p.m.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Next time you should do like a weed themed podcast where you just have two people like smoking.
Well, that's gonna be like the 420 special.
Oh,
So like,
you one step ahead of me. I love it. Nice.
what are you sipping on?
Oh, I have two things going right now. I have water because I'm so dehydrated, but secondly, I have matcha green tea. I've been
Wow.
drinking so much of this stuff. Maybe that's why I can't sleep at night because it's so caffeinated. But I really just love it for the mug.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a really tight mug. Did you make that?
No, I wish I did. My roommate, my old roommate, gave it to me.
Cool.
Uh, left it for me, I guess. So I use it all the time. But yeah,
Heck yeah.
good stuff.
That's yeah. What do you so you like you're making like EDM? Are you still playing cello a lot?
You know, not really. I do. Well, I said it. I pulled it out for the first time in like 6 months a few days ago, and it was just like not going so well. It takes a long time. I'm sure if you hadn't played like upright bass in a while, you'd know like your hand cramps up super fast. It takes a while to get back into shape, and um, that's fine. But my cello had some like vibration issue going on when I played the D string, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I'm probably gonna have to go get it repaired, and then I'm that much less motivated to pull it out. So,
Hmm.
um, but I've been playing a lot of ukulele actually.
Oh yeah, you've been like posting clips online.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have it sitting next to me in my living room all the time. Just late at night, I'll just pick it up and play whatever the fuck comes to my head.
Yeah.
So
Why the ukulele?
because simple, easy, and small.
Okay.
And I don't know why I learned to play a long time ago with my cousins or something, and just kind of stuck around. I wish I played guitar. I feel like
You don't play
that's a lot.
guitar?
No, I practiced for a little while. I learned like G, D, A, C basic chords, and learned a couple of songs, but I feel like I just never owned one, I guess. It's so much more of like a fulfilling sound though than a ukulele. Like a ukulele, you kind of have to like sing along with it to make it into something usually.
Mm,
But a guitar, you can just play, and I don't know. Maybe that'll be my next instrument.
that's cool. I could have sworn I thought you played guitar, but I don't know.
Uh,
It's just
I
like,
play bass.
oh
Maybe that's
yeah,
what
you
you're
played
thinking of.
electric bass, huh?
Played. No. A little bit. I knew like I would do like my roots and fifths, and
Yeah. Oh, like
stuff.
one of my favorite just things about bass, like it's like one of my favorite vibrations to just feel, like when
Ooh,
like
you
you
got a
feel it in your
visitor.
body. There's a head touching.
Hey,
That's my homie.
stranger.
That's my homie Luis. He's like he's like the producer.
Ooh. Hey,
Yeah.
Luis.
But yeah, freaking loud bass, that's my stuff.
Oh man. Yeah. What do you like more, bass guitar or upright?
Mm,
Big question.
yeah. I don't know. More? Dang. Because I like them for different reasons. It's difficult
Fair.
to, yeah, it's difficult to choose. Like, how, I love how just like quick and like how well I know the electric bass neck. And it like feels like, I don't know, it feels like I can do like acrobatics with it. Like if dancing was like an acrobatic thing.
Yeah.
And then with like upright bass, it feels like it's just like special. Like it's different. That's like a mood. Like I
Yeah, it
don't know,
totally
like
is.
yeah. So
I remember, sorry, go ahead.
it's like upright bass is the mood, and then like electric bass is like I feel so versatile with it, and it just feels so good to like groove with.
That's a good point. Um, I don't know upright bass at all. But I do remember one time in, I think it was performance form when you played something on the upright bass, and I can't remember what the song was. But it was really cool because you used the bow and it was just a bass solo, and you almost never hear that. It was really cool.
It's a trip, huh?
Yeah, everyone always is plucking it, and it's kind of fun to hear a bode once in a while.
Straight up. You
Little
know what?
little arco.
Yeah, you know what sounds trippy is
Hmm.
a bow on a cymbal. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. What does it
Yeah,
sound like?
it's like a scary movie sound. It's like a kind of thing, like but like very like sharp, like you could mix those two together. Like watch next time you listen to like a scary movie trailer or something, you'll you'll hear like a and you'll be like, oh, that's the symbol with the bow.
You're like Omar. That's it. That's interesting. I can't believe I don't like know that offhand. I feel like I'm very attentive to like sound effects. I don't know why. It's just kind of what I'm interested in, and I don't think I've come across that one that I know of.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty tight.
I
It's
saw
like
one time. Sorry. One time, someone was playing the back of a saw with a bow, like a bandsaw or something.
the back of a
So
saw.
yeah, not the sharp part, obviously, but it was like I don't know what kind of saw,
Oh, okay.
a bandsaw maybe, and it was like going around. It was really fun.
I love how much we're talking about sounds right now. Like another one that sounded trippy was like a chandelier. I think my friend like accidentally like punched a chandelier, which is like another story. But like the when the stuff rattled, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like that sounds like I don't know, some kind of like necklace of bones. Like it was like enchanted. It was like an enchanted
Ooh,
sound."
I
Yeah.
like that.
Heck yeah. Do you would you call yourself like an imaginative person?
Oh my gosh. Probably, yeah, more than is healthy, maybe. I'm like, especially now, maybe more than ever since, we're quarantined, but like I think of stuff all the time. I'm constantly just daydreaming in my own little world, thinking of stuff. And um, I remember when I don't remember, my mom told me when I was a little baby, she called me a satellite because I would always just sit there and observe people and think instead of like participating in the conversation. So I would like take in information and just like make opinions and like think about it, but like never voice anything. But I'd always be like scanning the room, just like watching and like learning from people, but never saying anything. Um, I don't know. I feel like I make up stuff in my head sometimes that like I convince myself actually happened, and then I'm like, wait, back up.
Yeah, it's trippy how sometimes the fantasy can seem so real, or like
Yeah,
the narratives that we make up in our heads, and they're so entertaining.
yeah. Do you do that at
Yeah,
all too? That like you have to tell yourself that like, oh wait, was that real or was that just me?
yeah, and I'm also questioning like, wait, was that me or is that like not real? Or like
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, I'm always questioning like what is reality and what's not. Like, am I really like talking to Lauren on a computer screen, or is this just like
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure you are, but I can't confirm that.
me either. Like,
It's a deep fake.
yeah, I'm just going with it, just like seeing what
Yeah.
happens. Like,
Or the
it's
classic simulation argument.
yeah, it's so trippy. We talked about that a couple times on this podcast, like
Yeah.
especially with like Animal Crossing, like people making their own little like making people
You
make.
can see how it happens. We're all just really advanced video game characters.
So I'm interested. Do you like dream at night too, like daydreaming and night dreaming?
Yeah, I do. And I don't remember them very often.
Oh,
But I had I've been dreaming a lot when I take melatonin. Like sometimes when I can't really fall asleep, I'll take like a couple of milligrams of melatonin. And I had to stop doing that because they kept giving me like nightmares. And I think this is like a pretty well known thing that melatonin can give you nightmares. And I don't know
whoa.
why. I haven't really researched it, but like I noticed it one week. I took like three things of melatonin 3 nights in a row, or like one each night. And then I had like each night was an awful, like terrible dream about like someone dying or something. And I'm like, is this the only time I have dreams? Is when it's bad? Like, I guess we're not going to do that anymore. So,
That's really trippy. I've been taking melatonin, or I've taken melatonin a couple times recently, and both
yeah.
times it's like I feel like it kept me awake. Like I wasn't able to fall asleep. And
Really?
yeah, it was like, what the heck? This is really, really weird. Like this doing exactly the opposite what I feel like it should have. But I don't know. Maybe
I've
it's like
noticed
keeping me
that
from a nightmare.
maybe, maybe ulterior motives. I think that like that happens at least if you take it too many times in a row for me because your body will stop producing it naturally if I mean
Whoa.
this is all just me like one quick internet search so I don't really know how scientific that is but
Lauren's not a
then you can't fall
scientist,
asleep.
everyone.
Disclaimer. Nah, but that's just like what I understood from one point but I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you dream a lot even without melatonin?
Yeah. I'll go through like seasons. Yeah, dreams are really cool. I like just like I love like interpreting my dreams and like hearing other people's dreams, and it's so cool. Like we're in this creative place where like everything that we're seeing and experiencing is like we're playing a part in creating that in front of our awareness.
Yeah, I find that fascinating too. I wish like I could remember my dreams more often. And I don't know how
Yeah.
to go about doing that, but
Yeah, a good technique is to like write them down, like whatever you remember, even if it's just like, oh, I remember the color yellow. Like once you start recording them, then all of a sudden like your mind is like tuned into it, and the next time you remember, oh, now I remember like yellow and oh, like happy or something like that, and then it'll just
oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you also begin to recognize your dream symbols. So even like in your dream you'll be like, oh, like I recognize this dream symbol, like I must be dreaming right now. So it's pretty cool. That's one way.
Hmm. Maybe I'll have to try that. I've kept meaning to do that. I heard that's a good way to like lucid dream if you want to do that,
Yeah.
but I've never put in the effort. So maybe someday I'll get there.
Yeah, I feel you. Is there anything, but what kinds of stuff do you want to talk about?
Oh man. Um, well, I don't know. Like, it's interesting is talking to you now kind of brings back a bunch of memories from college and everything. And I kind of like to think about sometimes like parallel alternatives, like how things have changed over time and how they could have been like easily different, had something,
Yeah.
one specific thing had not gone the way it did, or like you made one decision differently. Like, had we not been in orchestra together freshman year, whatever that was, like, would we probably wouldn't be talking with each other right now. We probably wouldn't know who each other are, possibly. Like, kind of like to think about that. Like, big decisions or even little decisions that we make in our lives that kind of like affect or that change their course. I know like on the topic of orchestra, I almost didn't join orchestra freshman year of college because I emailed, Dr. Geating, the conductor, like the very first week, and I was like, I'd like to audition, I'd like to join. And he's like, yeah, come by. It's our first rehearsal on Monday afternoon. And I remember like he said 7 p.m. or something. And I can't remember, it actually started at 6:30 p.m. or something like that. But I got there, I was outside the door, and I heard that the orchestra had already set up. They were already rehearsing, and they were like really good, at least from my like high schooler perspective. Like I was super intimidated just listening to them outside of the door, and I knew I'd have to like walk in super late. So I was like, screw this. I was freaked out. I turned around and I left and I went home thinking I'd never do orchestra again. And then Dr. Geating like followed up with me, like this one email, like convinced me to try again the next week, go back in. And then, that's where I met some of my best friends and like how that one email like kind of changed so much in my life. It's kind of interesting to
Dang.
think about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just that one decision, like it like had an impact on the way that all the rest of the path like played out. So do you like, what have you thought about what would have happened if you didn't, like if you weren't?
Yeah, I don't know. It, I feel like most of the people I talked to in college, like most of my friends were music related. And 80% of those were like not music production, but like classical music or maybe jazz or something related. So I would probably be friends with completely different people. I don't know who they would be. but I wouldn't have gone to all those concerts, and I wouldn't have done, like musical and had so much fun and made so many memories that I did. And I don't know where I would have been. I'm happy with the way that it worked out, though.
Oh, heck yeah. Same here.
Yeah. Do you have any of those like decisions that you like to think back on sometimes and think where would you be if it had gone slightly differently?
Yeah, I kind of think about what am I I'll kind of like, but in like the future, like I'll see the results of an action, and then I'll think about like what I'll gain from it, and then like what am I not gaining by doing it, kind of thing. Like what am I losing by not taking action right now? So I use that kind of as like a motivator to just figure out like where I'm going. But
That's
I'm
good. So you plan ahead.
yeah, and I use that like contrast, like comparing like and taking into account what is like the benefit, and then what is like not in my benefit for like doing whatever I'm doing. I don't know if that's kind of
Hmm.
abstract, but yeah, but like let me think like back in the in the past, thinking about what could have been, or like why. Sometimes like it just makes me like super grateful because I'll have like like those pivotal decisions, those like moments, just the way that certain things play out in a weird like uncanny way, and it's like, oh my goodness, like if that didn't happen, then like I don't even know, like it just felt so right that
Yeah. Like when you literally cross paths with people,
yeah,
start talking to them, and then that person becomes something significant in your life out of like a
yeah.
chance encounter. I think those things are really fascinating to like think back on, and then think about all of those chance encounters that you barely missed
Mm,
that didn't happen, and that person that you were like you crossed 10 seconds in front of that would have introduced you to something else, or that would have become, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to think about all the things that could have happened. It almost did but didn't.
yeah,
We have no way of knowing.
right. I like to believe that um I'll think about that when something like unfavorable is happening in the moment, like I don't know, maybe like I'll be stuck in traffic, or like like we're being like there's some kind of obstacle, but then I'll think about like I don't know, I feel like this is happening to like prevent me from like something worse or something like that, or like this is actually gonna like work out in my favor somehow in a way that I don't even know, or maybe like this is like really good for somebody else, like my momentary discomfort is somebody else's like breakthrough or something like that.
Yeah,
So my mind goes into that realm sometimes.
that's a really good way to think of things. I mean, there's almost always a silver lining to something.
Yeah, there's always like two heads to a coin, two sides to a coin.
Yeah.
Yo, are you into D&D at all?
I know nothing about it. um I could be. I wish I was. I wish I played more games, but I don't.
Oh,
Do you play
okay.
it?
I have a couple times, but I'm really like turned on to right now is this YouTube channel called Critical Role, and it's like voice actors playing D&D together.
Oh, that's
So
kind of cool. That sounds super enthusiastic and like animated and
they have the like one of the more famous episodes is celebrity D&D, and it's like with Vin Diesel. Like Vin Diesel plays an orc or something like that.
oh, that's cool.
So anyways, I don't know, but that's where my mind is tuned at right now. I just wanted to bring it up.
I like that. I like that sort of like creative spin on something.
Yeah, just the way that they can like craft a really interesting story, or like really like paint a setting, or just like what's like the also magical is like just like the improv, just like the funny like riffs back and forth like in character of like these like super absurd people. It's just pretty awesome. And then like with a cool voice on top of that. It's like
Yeah, no, it's like such talent that it takes to do something like that, and you don't even realize that how much talent they're like exercising because they do it so seamlessly.
yeah.
It's pretty cool. Speaking of improv, remember when we used to go every like Thursday night and after jazz or whatever?
Yeah, you want to talk about that, like describe it for people that that wouldn't
Oh
know.
yeah, that was some good times. I think so for a year or two, or maybe more or less, I don't know, but we'd have like jazz class every Thursday, Thursday evenings from like 6 to 9 p.m. And afterwards, we'd get a bunch of friends together, whoever was in class or whoever just wanted to join, who was in the dorms or something. And I think we'd all go to somebody's car on the side of the campus drive or whatever, and like just pregame at the back of the car. I think it's usually like Chris or something. He'd have like a handle of with whatever, and then we'd stuff it behind the seat whenever somebody like walks by. But yeah, it was kind of a fun little tailgate thing. And then we'd all go to improv class at like, or not class, but like the show at like 11 p.m. put on by students of the improv class.
Yeah,
And it
the
was
yeah.
so good. Yeah. I was always impressed by those guys. And I remember the first time I went to that improv show, I didn't know anything about it. It's like, are they making this up like on the spot? I mean, that's what improv is. I'm impressed. Like, they're funny. And it was always a good time.
So freaking funny. They're called the
Yeah.
Cal Lutheran Improv Troupe, and then
CLIT. And they like had that on their shirts. Like I love that.
oh man, yeah, that's those are fun times. Like it's so cool to just see how witty people can be with like,
hmm
and so creative with what people like will like say like a setting, and then they are like in that setting, and like we'll give them a storyline, and then they like improvise on that story and like build this whole like really like cool and funny drama. And it's just it's so interesting. Like I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, me too. It's just such creativity that you can't like second guess yourself because you have to say it in the moment like that very second, and it's just like pure wit and quick thinking, and like props to those people. That's hard.
Heck yeah. Have you ever done any improv?
Not like comedy or anything. Um I feel like I've learned from watching it though. Like the types of ways that they approach jokes or something. I feel like I kind of I tried to absorb a little bit because I really like this. And I think like in my daily life, like when I make a joke, I feel like sometimes it's very just like quick, dry, witty humor. You know, that's just kind of my sense of humor, and I kind of like emulating that a little bit because I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you?
I've done like musically like improv, but not like stage
Mm.
improv.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
we did
yeah.
improv class right for jazz. That
Yeah.
was
Oh yeah, yeah.
not even just jazz class, but like here's how you improvise, and that was pretty
Right.
intense.
That was
I love that.
that was so good. That was so good for us. Like
Dude,
just
I learned so much from I think my 1 year in jazz class with Uziel Cologne. Literally the best pianist I have and probably will ever hear, jazz wise at least.
whoa.
Um, but he like I don't know, he was so good about introducing us to chord progressions and how to intertwine them with, you know, your own creative spin, and very like educational. It was really cool.
Straight up. Yeah, that was really awesome. That was my first time doing jazz. You know what really I feel like is improv is like pickup. Like I got super into like pickup, like chatting up girls, and
Mhm.
I think like a big skill that really developed from doing that is just being like improvisational and like super playful, like in the moment, kind of like spontaneous. So
Yeah, learning to
so
live in the moment.
yeah, and then kind of like making fun of it. It's like I don't know, but
Yeah, you
yeah,
have to be
that's
super like tongue in cheek sometimes. Like I know this isn't necessarily the most like musically pleasing sound, but like it's probably interesting at least, and you just have to roll with it.
yeah. And then it's just cool like the way that like a certain scenario can develop, and just I don't know, it's just it's cool.
Yeah, I feel like that
Yeah.
year of both like watching improv and then like doing jazz improv like taught me a lot.
Yeah. And did you do jazz before, like growing up, or was that
No, that was all new to me, which is why I sucked at it so bad.
hmm.
Was because like I was trained classically, and you don't play a note if it's not on the page. Like,
Oh
what
yeah.
are you thinking? It's so weird to like make something up on the spot, but then like realizing the power that you have when you can do that is really eye-opening.
Yeah,
um,
the power
but
you
to get
have
the
when you can do that.
confidence, yeah, getting the confidence to like take it where you want is a whole nother step that like I learned a little bit of, but
Yeah, the when you play the notes, like you want them to tell a story.
yeah. And then like using your technical skills to like take it there, that's what I
Mhm.
didn't have. Like I don't know. At least in cello, with cello, jazz is like it's not built for jazz. Like you can't
Mhm.
play chords, doing a bunch of like string crossings. So I don't know. It was fun though. I remember those times. I miss it a lot. I miss all the music that we did,
Yeah,
whether it
just
was like small
yeah,
groups, big groups, everything. There's so much going on.
it like just being a like immersed in it, just like having so many music classes and like musical friends, and it's like I don't know, just like randomly like going on a quick like walk with like a group of musicians, and then oh, let's go to like the practice rooms real quick or something like that, and then like you pass like I don't know, like two or three people just kind of like singing their little hearts out, like so it's just like being exposed to so much and so little, or like going to the studios and just like like laying tracks down, and then like being experimental and creative, and heck yeah,
Oh
yeah, I definitely
yeah,
miss it.
totally took that for granted too. Like that's like that whole like music wing, I guess you could call it, where you have like Overton Hall, where you like walk by, listen to the choir rehearsing, and there's just like music on this side, and then someone else is playing like guitar over here, like, and then you go into the practice rooms and you have music on all sides, and then you go into the music studio and you can do your own thing, and like such immersion. It was super cool.
Yeah, what do you hear?
Not sure. I don't know. I had the door open in the apartment. It's kind of loud, so
Oh, okay.
all good.
Hey, how did you end up going to Cal Lutheran?
Ooh, it's a good
Oh.
question. I don't know. I remember thinking like, so one of the reasons Cal Lutheran caught my attention at first was that they had a music production program, and that was pretty rare. And I loved that. I was doing it as like a hobby when I was like 15. I was literally using like Fruity Loops or something. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think I was like, oh, I could do that as like a thing. I could take a few classes and explore a hobby that I really like. And but they also had the communications program with like a journalism um, emphasis. And at that point, I really wanted to be in journalism, which was like not where I ended up for sure. So I think like the combination of those two was kind of, at least academia wise, what pulled me to Cal Lutheran. Plus, it was like a solid 7 hours from my parents, which is kind of nice. Um, Get to go home, once or twice a semester and would be good to go.
So you really liked just like being on your own?
Yeah, at least I thought I would. I struggled with it at first though, because I knew literally nobody when I arrived at school. Literally nobody. And you're thrown into the dorms, and my freshman roommates were like good people, but like sometimes really out there. At least, especially one of them, she was like all over the place, and I was just super overwhelmed, and like it took me a long time to like warm up to it. But I don't know, like the environment and like the classes definitely helped. And I think like talk about like parallel alternatives. Like I almost didn't go to Cal Lutheran. Like I was very close to not, but I think I did make the right decision. So what about you?
I remember I wanted to do something like music business, or I was just like really exploring like just what different kinds of music degrees there were when I was still going to Ventura. Like I went to community college first, and that's where I learned upright bass. So
Mm,
yeah,
cool.
and I remember it was either like Cal Lutheran or Northridge to do the music business or music therapy, or I think it was like Long Beach for something else. And anyways, why I ended up going to Cal Lutheran though is because I got like the scholarship for playing upright bass. So that was pretty freaking
Oh
awesome.
yeah, the
Yeah.
VAPA, right?
Yeah, the VAPA.
Yeah.
So that was like it did that kind of like reassured me. That's actually a really cool story. I on the audition day, I was so like freaking nervous because I didn't have a case for my bass and it was raining. And I remember like I was driving there kind of like, oh man, like I hope like it just stops raining when I get there and it's like sprinkling a little bit. So I get out of my car and I'm just like, oh man. So I walk around to figure out where I gotta go. And I had to go to Overton. And I went to Overton. I'm like, hey, cool, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I walk back. And as I'm walking back, Lauren, I see like a hole open up in the clouds. It's like sunshine coming down and no rain in just one particular spot. And this like hole in the clouds is like moving towards where I need to go. So I'm like, oh my goodness. I run to my car and grab my bass and I'm like following this like light hole like to Overton. And I just like it got me on like a next level like I felt like I went Super Saiyan. It's just like, okay, like I know I'm supposed to be here kind of thing. It's like, and I remember like it made me like super confident in my playing. It's like, I know that this is some kind of divine intervention. Like, I don't know. So
Hell yeah.
that's how I got into Cal Lutheran. The sky opened up for me.
Literally, the heavens gave you a sign.
Yeah,
That's cool. I love that.
it was a trip.
Oh man. I wish I had like a sign like that I was supposed to go to Cal Lutheran, but I think it was literally like kind of the same thing. It's like, ah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where would you have gone? Like what were you debating besides Cal Lutheran?
Um, I almost went to UC Davis, like very close,
Yeah.
um, which would have been a good school. But the problem was, contrary to my previous reason for going to Cal Lutheran, was that it was literally 20 minutes from my parents' house.
Hmm.
And it's like, I need to get somewhere else. I almost went to a school in Austin, Texas, actually,
Wow.
which, glad I didn't do that. It's not for me. So,
Are you into traveling?
yeah, it's funny. I haven't been doing much of it recently just because I've been at work and not really taking time off. But I, yeah, I studied abroad for a summer,
You did?
and yeah, I did. And I'm supposed to be in Europe right now, but obviously coronavirus canceled that. I had this whole thing planned to go see my sister. She lives out there, so I was going to go hang out with her and explore the continent for a couple countries, I guess, for a couple weeks. But
Wow.
I
Have you
guess
been to
that's not
Europe before?
happening. A long time ago. It's
Yeah.
been 12 years or something, I think.
Where did you study abroad?
Costa Rica.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I loved it. Such a beautiful country. And I think the people there were probably my favorite part. Like they have
Why?
this phrase called pura vida, which means like, I mean, it's a hang loose thing, but it means like pure life, basically. And it's kind of like um, it works for everything. It's not just like I don't know, they can use it as a greeting or like a sign off or just a don't worry about it kind of thing or like all's good. It's like or like a hell yeah kind of thing. It's just like pura vida, pura vida, pura vida. And I think it sets
Pura
this
vida.
tone,
Yeah.
yeah, across the country that like everything's fine. Just take it easy. You know, it's voted one of the happiest countries in the world, and I could see why. I was only there for like a couple months, but I learned so much. I think the coolest part for me was the homestay that I was in. So it's kind of a funny story. People in my program were each assigned to like a homestay, so like a family that lived in San Jose, which is the capital of Costa Rica. Um, and we would live with this family, and I was assigned to live with um, Marco and Rosa, or Rosie, with another girl in my program also named Lauren, which was funny because Marco and Rosie didn't know English and we didn't really know Spanish. You know, we were just learning. I did like Spanish 2 in high school and I had a lot to learn. Um, so they called us Lauren Uno y Lauren Dos. So didn't really like differentiate us. One was from the West Coast, one was from the East Coast. And um, we lived with them for a few months and they became like parents to us. It was crazy how hospitable they were. And I just remember those mornings we'd have breakfast and dinner together every single day. And they'd cut up like this fresh fruit for us, like mango, bananas, all this stuff. And we'd have an English Spanish dictionary on the table. And Lauren Uno and I were trying to like spit out sentences in our really like rudimentary Spanish. And they're trying to like figure out what we're saying. But we always had a really good time. And like, I didn't really like learn much, you know, from the classes I took over there, but like the experience of like the people is like, I don't know, it was such a good memory.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. I went to Costa Rica for about a week, and when I
Oh
was in high
yeah.
school. Yeah.
What parts did you go to?
Oh man, I can't remember. I think we were on the west coast, and we went to like a bunch of beaches. There was like a beach with like really white shells. It was like a shell beach. And then
Mm,
there was another one where like it was like some kind of like surfing town, like a beach town. And it was like pretty cool. Like our hotel was like half a mile walk like along the beach, and then there's like the town. So it was really freaking tight, and there's just like so much like jungle, like so green. And
yeah, I loved it. It was so beautiful.
yeah.
I would recommend that country to anybody that's like, well, it's first of all, it's really inexpensive. So it's a lot cheaper to travel there. And then it's just so much good adventure you can have there. So if you're like kind of roughing it a little bit, not roughing it, but like experiencing, you know, natural things, I guess it's a good place to go. There's a lot that I wish I had done when I was there that I would want to go back for, but
Yeah, like what?
someday. Let me think. I know like I really wanted to do some zip lining when I was there and I never did.
Zip lining
Um,
through the jungles?
yeah. And since like Panama and Nicaragua, I think, maybe I'm getting my countries, maybe mix that up. Panama at least is right down south, and I would have wanted to visit those countries since they're pretty close. But so many good stories. I remember one time my friend and I, or to my couple of my friends and I, had to navigate this hospital at night together on a Tuesday in
You had to
Spanish,
navigate a hospital?
or like figure out how to. So my friend Lauren, she
Lauren Dos?
Lauren Uno, I was Lauren
Oh.
Dos. Yeah. We were going to like a salsa and merengue class because we did that every Tuesday and Thursday. And I think we always went out to the bars afterwards. And she like tripped and like sprained her ankle in the curb. So we had to take her into the hospital, not knowing anything in Spanish about how to say like, how to describe the injury and like help her get the proper care and help make sure her travel insurance was used. And like, we were so lost, and it was just us three girls that like didn't know anything, and trying to figure out how to get this girl. Like, she's freaking out, she's like hyperventilating, of course she's in pain. I remember finding this guy that at the school, who to this day we call him our angel because he spoke both fluent English and Spanish, and he just like saw that we were, you know, in distress and needed help, or at least she was in distress, and like dropped his everything he was doing and traveled to the hospital with us, three strangers, and spent the whole night with us, like translating for us and like helping us like make the right decisions for her, you know, helping her get like her crutches and her cast on and like knowing what we were actually signing up for. And
Wow.
then we never saw this guy again. We were like muchas gracias, you know, trying to express to him how much we appreciated it, and then he's like, no problem, and left.
Pura
Um,
vida.
Pura vida, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty much what it was. And that's the type of person that, you know, we ran into a lot. So that was an interesting time. Never forget that. She was on crutches, and um, yeah, it was an interesting few weeks, but
Dang, that sounds really interesting. I'm grateful for the angels we find or
Yeah,
that find
it's just
us.
yeah, the random people that you never really like. I don't know, never forget, but you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
I was in a little fender bender one time, and the woman and I like were talking to each other, checking out our cars, making sure everything was all right, and there wasn't any major damage. So we exchanged information, but um, she's like, "I'm so sorry," because she was the one that like backed into me, and she gave me like this necklace off of her neck, which was like an angel necklace that she made, and then she just gave that to me. So I always think of like that too. It's like a physical angel, that everything was okay.
She
It's kind of
rear-ended
cool.
you and then gave you an angel?
Yeah,
Whoa.
for like as like a token of apologies or something. I don't know. It was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like yeah, that's pretty funny. Like that's kind of sweet. But at the same
Yeah.
time it's like you just bumped into my car like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
It's like I don't know how to take this, but I kept it. I don't know. I just kind of like, wow, interesting.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like angels are or do you ever feel like people give you messages without realizing or like people give you like tell you exactly what you need to hear and they don't even realize it?
Yeah, I totally do. Like like when they teach you a lesson that you didn't really know that you needed to know or learn
Yeah.
until even later. Sometimes you didn't realize that that was beneficial for you, but
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
hindsight stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that happens all the time, at least if you pay attention. But that's the hard part, paying
Paying
attention,
attention.
remembering.
No, writing things down has helped me a lot. Just like catching the
Hmm.
ideas. Do you have a journal or anything?
That's a good question. I used to, and I um I kept a journal like very consistently throughout like middle school and early high school, so like years ago. And I stopped in like 2012, I think, and I recently found it. I haven't been keeping a journal since then, which I kind of regret. I do have a bunch of pictures that I organized very um meticulously. I have so many file folders of old stuff, so that kind of helps me
Wow.
like resurface memories and stuff, like
Resurface memories.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I'm a very like visual person in that sense. But I wish I had like written stuff down because I, I don't know what I was actually thinking in that moment. Um, and there's so many times when I wish I knew that. But about those old journal entries that I found,
Yeah.
I couldn't even finish them. It was so cringy. I was just like, oh my god, so embarrassing. Like I don't know. I kept them because I didn't want to like throw them away, but like I really hope nobody ever finds these. 'Cause it's like you need to like get over yourself.
Whoa.
So,
How old were you? Like little kid?
oh, I was like 12 or 10 or 12 or something.
Yeah. Cringy Lauren.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I found one recently when I was probably I found like a piece of art that I made when I was maybe like 6 or 7. And
Mhm.
it said like I love people, but it was spelled like PEE, like I love people. So it just looked like I love pee. Like I don't know.
Like finish the sentence.
That's a yeah, having a journal is really like beneficial. Just kind of like thinking onto a page. And then it helps
Yeah.
you yeah, it helps you like dive into yourself too. Just really like seeing cuz something happens when we have all these thoughts and ideas and concepts floating around in our head like all these I don't know, all these images and like abstract things. And just by like it going from our brain to like to our fingertips and onto a page, it helps us understand it all like in a really new way in a like in a it widens your perspective and then also like you start seeing things that like were always there but maybe you weren't open to yet and it's really cool a super really good way to just think better honestly.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's just something about writing it down, and I don't know if that's because you focus on the letter you're writing each word for longer. or what, but it really does help you like think about stuff and like remember it. Why do you think that is? Like writing stuff down and putting it on paper. Why do you think that helps? Because you can reread
Oh,
it.
oh yeah. Well, when when you actually take action and ingrain a thought with like your body, just like by taking notes in a lecture, you're gonna remember everything. Like you're gonna remember 60% more than if you had just kind of listened passively. So
Yeah,
even if you never look at the notes again, just by taking that action, you're gonna retain more information because it's yeah you're putting like effort into it. And then the other thing is, I think it's just like when you have to like process it, it kind of it kind of like becomes ingrained in you a bit. It's that's in your subconscious now.
that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's really cool how we like take in information better in different ways. I remember having that thought when I was learning to do like software and stuff like that, and it's really hard to like take notes for computer related stuff because it's meant to be written on a computer, all these characters and stuff that you have to be typing. But I wanted to put it on paper to help myself a little bit, at least try to. And I went back on these notes later and I was like, this is completely illegible. Like I
Oh
cannot read what I wrote, but I think it helps me to at the very least write it down. So there's something to it.
yeah, are you into drawing at all?
Um, I used to be. I used to do a lot of drawing. I'm not anymore. I haven't drawn anything in a long time. What about you?
I'll like doodle and stuff. Like I'll like you can draw little like funny faces like next to all the stuff that I'm journaling or whatever. I
Nice.
drew my friend Becca recently. Like she was like we like traded portraits kind of for Instagram.
Oh, that's cool. I've always wanted to do that with somebody, like draw each other and then just
Yeah.
kind of like see what their interpretations are.
Yeah.
What's funny? One time, speaking of that, I had an interesting experience in the Samuelson Chapel at CLU. I think we were there for like a concert or something, and I was in the upper balcony watching from above. And I remember leaving. I was with somebody, I can't remember who it was, but leaving, and there was some paper in the pews behind us, and it was somebody that had drawn us from behind
Yeah.
while we were listening to the concert and like left him there. I,
Wow.
I was like, wow, like that's what I look like. That's what the back of my head looks like. And then they had like my shirt, and everything. It's like, oh, weird. It's kind of cool. I think I still have him somewhere.
Wow.
It's kind of funny. Like, I wonder who that was. They just left him there. Maybe they were hoping to find him. Maybe not.
Yeah. Left them for you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
But
like it's interesting to see how like what people choose to like I don't know like how they see you. It's
yeah,
like oh like is that what I look like through your eyes kind of thing.
yeah, I have that thought all the time. Like, you see yourself in the mirror so much, like, you never get a good first impression of yourself.
Whoa, that sounds
Yeah.
deep. Hey, can I ask you can I ask you a deep question?
Hell yeah.
What do you think? So do you think like the place we go to after we die is the same as where we came from when we were born?
Mm. Um, in a way, yes. Like physically, I mean, like, yes, obviously our bodies like return to dust, or dirt. But I guess it depends on how much you believe in like souls and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, I'm a very like optimistic type of person in that sense that like I don't know. There's no way to know. Nobody really, really knows. Nobody's seen it with their own two eyes. Um, but I think in at least like a metaphorical sense, yeah. I don't know. That's really like all I'm about all I'm able to say on that because like there's so many potential things that could be happening, but we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really trippy to think about. I'll I don't know about you, but I think like infants and like small babies, like they can see stuff and are like tuned into things that we can't see as adults. So
Is that because they don't have yet like the influence of like societal norms and pressures yet, and they're still fresh into the world? Or why do you think that is?
yeah, something like that. Just like them being fresh. Like they just have like something that we don't have. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
they're still connected.
that's fascinating. Do you have any memories from when you were a little infant or like a very young kid?
One of my earliest memories is preschool. I was probably like 3, and I remember I wanted to wear shorts over my pants, like really bad.
Hell yeah. Fashion icon.
And they were both like purple. So like that's
Damn.
yeah, what's your do you have like what are your early memories?
Um, so I remember when I was like 2 years old, so it took me a long time to grow hair when I was a kid. Like everyone always thought I was a little boy until I was like 3 years old because I just had no hair. It just didn't grow until really late. And um, when I was 2 years old, and it was like first starting to come in, and you can kind of tell it was getting longer. I thought it would be a good idea to just like give myself a little haircut, like most kids do at some point. So I took the scissors, I was outside, and I like chopped off all my bangs. Literally like the most obvious part. And I was like, oh no, like I don't want my mom to find out I did this. So I took the hair thinking this would help that I cut off and I buried it in the dirt. She's like, she'll never know.
Of course.
But I had just cut off all my bangs. So the second I see my mom, she's like, the hell did you do? And then basically I had to shave my head back down again. So
Whoa.
that was like early preschool, I think.
Destroy the
Um,
evidence.
exactly. I was a thinker. Um, I have one memory that I'm not sure if it's a memory. I wouldn't think it's a
Yeah.
memory or a dream,
Mm,
but I remember I have one snapshot of being in a womb. I think like
mm.
that could easily be a dream of like being unborn again. But like I just remember of being in this enclosed area, haven't been out into the world yet, and just kind of like the colors around me, but
Yeah, what did it
it's just
look
a
like?
quick
What
little
was the colors?
snapshot. Dark red.
Stark red?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, there's no light in there anyways, really, so it's kind of hard to like see anything. I don't think you can like I don't know if like fetuses can like open their eyes in the womb, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird thing that I just like always had in my head since I was really little. I remember
Wow.
that.
You had
Kind of weird.
a
Being
womb.
born.
Yeah. That's really trippy. Like, because I know you think about like how like some people will like play music for like unborn fetuses or like
Yeah.
things like that, and that has like an influence on their development somehow. So it's
Yeah. Like classical music especially, like it'd be really interesting to if there was like a huge study done like over 20 years or something where like you took a huge like population sample or whatever sample size or whatever, and you had each of these like expectant parents playing jazz for their unborn born child every night, and then each of these parents playing classical, and then some playing like punk and some playing like EDM, and then just like seeing how the kids like turned out later. Like seeing if
wow.
there's any correlation. Like I'd be fascinated to like see the results of something like that. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool.
That's yeah. It's like I'm only gonna let my kid listen to Tupac. Just like I don't know.
Like, I wonder if like sounds like early development music, how much that actually influences like your personality, because you know like the way that
Right.
you're brought up obviously does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
um,
we're like sponges. Those first few years is probably we're probably like a super sponge, like when we're inside.
yeah, I think that's really cool to think about. Um, Kind of reminds me one time I had one class at CalU. It's like research methods or something. So we basically just had to conduct a study that was like a legitimate study. So we had to make sure like the sample size was big enough, and like we were asking like non-leading questions and all this stuff and survey like 150 people or whatever. So the question that our group came up with was whether or not the fact that you have a sibling um, of the same gender as your desired like romantic partner affects your success in a relationship. Like if I'm interested in men and I have two brothers like I do, does that help me like succeed in my relationship any more or less? Like
Hmm.
the fact that I'm comfortable around guys more, does that help at all? Does it mean anything? And I, I don't know, super curious about that. And granted, like we only interviewed like 150 people or surveyed 150 people or something, but we didn't find any huge correlation between that. So kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, yeah, that's really because the you like just like being around like if like I grew up with like a bunch of girls, that's gonna mold my interactions as if or differently if I grew up like with a bunch of dudes. Cause like
Yeah.
yeah, like what? So I feel you on that. That's really interesting. Like I don't know. I think about like my mom. Like my mom grew up with brothers for like the first part of her life, and she was like super like tomboy kind of. So then I don't know. That's that just popped up in my head right now.
Yeah. So maybe like you'd think like she may understand the needs of the opposite gender a little bit more than had she not.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
vice versa. Like if a guy has sisters, does he kind of like understand that train of thought a little bit more? I don't know. Not that there's huge difference between genders all the time, but sometimes there is.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we're more similar than we are different, but I think there are like definitely differences.
yeah,
I
yeah. So
think
kind of like
yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
Something interesting about just like gender is like the part of our brain that recognizes that is like the facial recognition and processing like facial emotions. It's like it grows a lot faster and a lot younger in females than in males. So there was a study where like the they were like kids in a room with a toy in the middle, and they would like when the girl would go to grab the toy, she would look to her mom to see like what if she was doing was like okay or not, and so the mom would tell her like no, and then like based on like the voice and her face, like the girl wouldn't like get the toy. But the little boys, they would have to actually be like picked up and like moved and like told them and then told them no, as a like they wouldn't just go off of like the face and the voice. So I think I thought that was really interesting, and it like made a lot of sense. Like
So it'd take a little bit more like physical intervention in a way.
yeah, because yeah, physical intervention, like more, yeah, more. It wasn't just like, yeah, yeah, definitely,
Interesting. That's cool.
yeah.
Um, I think there's this one study that I think one of the longest running studies ever was done by like Harvard or something like that, where they took like a bunch of people and like 100 or 1,000 or something like that. I don't know. And just like observe them over a period of like 70 years. So basically their whole lives. And
Well,
just like every 10 years, I think they just found these people, at least as many of them as they could contact still, and like ask them, how their lives were going, what they've been doing, and just kind of like piecing together, correlations between where they lived and how they lived their lives and what they turned out like.
yeah. Do you remember anything like significant that or something that impacted you from that?
I
Any,
think
yeah.
something significant was their relationships with other people. So they found that the happier people in that group, or at least the ones that reported to be most happy, were um, the people that had better relationships with their family and their friends.
Whoa.
So then it just kind of like indicated to you that it's probably really important to maintain those.
Yeah.
That's
Heck
kind of
yeah.
cool.
I'm doing this online course right now. I think it's called the Science of Happiness, and it's really cool. Like it's teaching us about all these things that like basically like there are annoying features of our mind that the
Hmm.
things we think will make us happy actually don't. So it's kind of just like a perpetual unhappiness that happens to a lot of people.
Like a cycle that you just keep chasing and
Yeah.
getting deeper down in and not
Yeah.
getting anywhere.
Yeah, like an example they give is like like wanting more money with your job. So like we as we get better jobs and like get more pay, we actually see ourselves as like wanting more money. So it's like there's like a certain dang it, I can't remember exactly, but basically like we think that we want a better job or we want more money with that job, but it's like the more once we like attain that, it's like the want also grows even more. So it's it's
Yeah.
pretty trippy.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's very true. I remember my dad talks about that sometimes. He tells this story. I don't know how true it is, but if it's more of just like a um, I don't know, just a lesson to be learned, but about this financial advisor, something that would talk to people in financial trouble all the time. And he would work with people that were like 18 years old to like 40 years old to like 60 years old. And they made like anywhere, on the spectrum of income, 20,000 a year to like 200,000 a year. And he said pretty much all people would say the same thing. Like if I only had about 10,000 more per year, then I would be fine. But in reality, you would spend 10,000 more per year. At least a lot of people would, and be chasing the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's really key. Like we have this just like this unsatiable desire. And yeah, once we like bring awareness to that, it we kind of have we just have like a better understanding of us. And what really like makes us happy is we all have certain human strengths, like certain human values. And if we can incorporate some of these values, like four is like the magic number. If we can incorporate four of our values in our work, then all of a sudden it doesn't just become a job. It becomes like a calling. It's like, oh, this is like what is like pulling me to do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I feel like sometimes it's easy to pass up those opportunities just because they make less money. But you know, maybe they make you twice as happy. But people don't really like you can't really put metrics to happiness, so you can't really compare them as easily, and don't realize it's probably the more valuable job to take. But I don't
Right,
know.
like what there's some kind of yeah, there's some kind of balance. It's like just like finding what makes you happy and also like just like makes the most money.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, you gotta survive.
yeah.
Gotta pay the bills. And then there's that whole like argument that money doesn't make you happy, but it makes it a lot easier to be happy.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I mean it's like money's fun. Like but
Yeah,
what
I mean, it's fun to have like a
yeah.
nice place to live and like eat good food and like go places. But
Yeah. It's just like I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm like I'm gonna be like an extremely wealthy person. Like I'm just like planning
mm,
on it.
hell
So
yeah.
yeah. I
So
think
how are you gonna acquire that wealth? What's your path?
yeah, just like by being creative. And right now my strategy is just to continue to build myself. Like I'm just constantly like investing in myself, like putting great thoughts in my mind from like really like great thinkers, and just like researching the people that like I admire, whether it's like actors or like business people or whatever it is. So I'm just like I know I'm constantly feeding myself that, because what because it's like worked for me before, like just by like working on my like people skills, I got this really cool like creative job. And or at least like that's like the biggest thing that I felt was a factor of it. So that's like my strategy right now, is just to continue to invest in myself and like invest in my mind.
That's good because, once you do reach your goals, it'll make it so much easier to maintain them when you have a good foundation like that. You're not going to like squander your money on things that you think will make you happy, or like lose it by like mistreating your relationships or something. So that's a really good place to start.
Yeah. Do you want to be wealthy, or are you wealthy? Like,
No. I mean, I like I want like, of course, like you want excess money, that'd be awesome, but like to me, I think a little excess would be nice. And you can make a little excess just by adjusting your lifestyle with whatever your salary is, but there's a certain like lifestyle that I would love to live, of course. Like I think my eventual goal is to not be in the workforce anymore or working a 9 to 5
yeah,
by like 40. Like, is that going to happen? Who knows? Depends on how the next few years go. Um, but even if it's a little bit later, that's totally fine. And if I don't find a, if I find a job that I'd love to keep like working even when I'm 50, like I'll just keep working. But um, that's what I would want more than just like the money itself, is not being forced to live my life a certain way. Like,
yeah, like a certain kind of freedom or flexibility.
yeah, breaking free of the mold, like,
Yeah, breaking free,
yeah,
destroying the
that's kind of,
matrix or leaving it.
I mean, that's what I want, is that I just hate the feeling of being like, I don't like, I love my job now. My job is, like, I could keep working my current job, at least in the state that it is, for a long time. I love it, but I don't like the thought of being forced to go to work today to make money for somebody else who's probably going to misuse it depending on who you work for. Um, and then just it gets into a whole discussion of like classism and like the separation of, or the division of wealth. But um, really just freedom. That's what I want. And freedom comes with wealth sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I think it's so important to like set up our lives the way that we want to. And we have that power, we have that capability within us. Like we don't have
Yeah.
to, yeah, we don't have to conform to the the way like society tells us or whatever is like maybe makes like I don't know, I like to think about things as seasons. It's like, okay, like I'm in this like undesirable position for a season because I know that I'm like building up to this that I really want. So it's like all of a sudden what all the crap that is associated with this is just kind of like a minor inconvenience when you have like that goal, that when you know where
Yeah.
you're going.
That's so true. When you have a reason to do something, it just becomes so much easier. And um, even if you don't have a goal, but at least what you're doing will become something good. So like working hard, it's in school and like studying a lot. You don't know exactly what you're going to do with your career, but that like you're on the right path. And like for me right now, it's like working a lot and then just like being creative a lot of the time. I know like I don't necessarily know what I'm going to be doing in 10 years, but like I know I'm on the path to getting somewhere that'll be good for me. So just
Yeah.
kind of like working, not blindly, but like having faith, I guess is a good way to put it too.
Yeah, do you feel like you're becoming a better person every day?
I do. Yeah. I
Heck yeah.
It's a good feeling because and I don't feel like every day, but at least compared like over time, the general, the linear increase or whatever.
Yeah.
When I think back to where I was a year ago, even like,
Right.
or two
Yeah.
years or 5 years, like the amount of growth, for example, that's happened since I was at CLU is like insane. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I feel like that's just a good place to be in.
Straight up.
So, I mean, it
Yeah.
always continues.
So I have a question for you. Like when you
Uh-huh.
have that freedom, like what kinds of stuff would you be doing? Like what does that freedom look
Mm.
like? What is that? Yeah.
I, any way I can just like be content. I'm really happy when I'm like zen and relaxed. Um, so for me, I really care about the place that I live. Like I don't, unless I have like don't have a choice for whatever reason, I'm really intentional about the places that I search, like apartments that I find, or like places that I like look at, because your habitat is really important to like your overall like well-being. So like I would love eventually someday to like design my own home, especially to how I want it and how what makes me happy, and have the features in it that like I would use every day. And like
Yeah.
I think that would be like, I've always wanted to do that, like since I was a little kid, is design my own house and build
Yeah.
it.
What kinds of stuff would you have? What kinds of features?
um it would be so it would be very like, doesn't have to be big or anything, but I want like a big yard, in the sense of like not a big yard, but like a well manicured yard, and not like, how do I put this, not like a manicured yard, but like a well, like a nice garden that's just like, it's got huge plant variety, nice little benches, cool trees where you can go out and eat some of the fruit, and like kind of feels like a really like fairy tale type of yard, with maybe like a little jacuzzi in the corner or something like that. I think
Yeah.
that would be sweet. I love like hot tubs in the rain. Like that is like my favorite thing ever. So if I can get a hot tub outside someday in the rain, and like I'd just be like happy, you know. I love that.
Heck yeah.
Um yeah, so I would spend a lot of time just like building a house and like curating what I would want my life to be like. And then of course I want to go places. I don't have a huge travel bug, but I do want to go places and see things and meet people. And then just the time to pursue your creative. I mean, it's kind of a luxury. Like that's kind of the bane of existence for a musician is, for example, is that like you gotta pay your bills and like like feed yourself. But music doesn't pay a lot at the beginning, so
No,
you have to
that
work a normal job.
I think that's a myth. That's like a limiting belief that is just
You think
like
so?
it. Yeah, straight up. There's so many ways that musicians can like make a lot of like good money. It's such a high paying industry. And but I
That's
think
true. Depending on what you play or what you do.
right, it's like what you do. It's also like who you know. Just like having the right connections is like super key. It's you know what I mean? It's
Fact.
yeah.
That
But
is that
yeah.
is true. I mean, when there's a will, there's a way, and you just have to like figure it out.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make along the way. So that'd be really cool to not have to make the sacrifices and like pursue what you want to do, what makes you happy, rather than going to work. I mean, it's tight.
Yeah, you brought up hot tubs. I think like just hot tubs are super powerful.
I
Like
don't know why, but like it's so true. There's just something about like sitting in warm water that just like calms you down and like
yeah, and it's
makes
good
you
for you too. It's like
yeah.
good for your body. And then like we get such like like you ever get good ideas in the shower? It's
You know,
like
I don't actually. I'm one of those people that doesn't spend long times in the shower. Everyone's shower thoughts are like the best like time to think or whatever, but I'm just in and out, so I don't
oh,
really get
okay,
that opportunity. But
the thinking time. But yeah, like
yeah,
jacuzzis are idea generators too.
yeah, it's great times for like discussions with, if you get like two friends in a hot tub with you and you're both like you're all sipping on some wine or something, like those are some of my favorite conversations. I don't know why. I just
But
like
yeah,
love them.
maybe after COVID, I'll do like jacuzzi podcasts. Like
Yeah. Do you have one? Do you have
not
access to one?
yet. I mean, I'm gonna get one eventually, just
Very
like
cool.
as a goal. But yeah, I don't know. I could figure something out, like podcast jacuzzi podcasts.
That'd be super sweet. You could just have a couple like boom mics hanging down, and then just
Yeah, I don't
have a couple
know.
people sitting there with some drinks and
I think it'd be
chatting it
pretty
out.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, I like that kind of, alternative setting kind of thing.
Yeah. So what else? What else do you want in your house?
Oh, I really want, like, I love balconies. I absolutely love
Balconies.
balconies. Yes. Any place that has a balcony to me is like the best. For some reason, especially if you have a view, that's not as necessary, but like being able to just like step outside and immediately get that fresh air, not having to worry about like taking off your pajamas or something, but like being able to be outdoors in comfort is really cool. And just kind of usually balconies are a little bit higher up, so you have like a nice vantage point. That's actually where I get like thinking done, is when I'm outside, like on a porch or a balcony or something, and I can just like,
Oh,
I feel like I have a bird's eye view of whatever I'm looking at, and just kind of it's all in perspective. And um, I don't know, that's a feature that I would, if I could, like if I had the opportunity to build on like a really cool plot with a nice view, I would make an amazing balcony with
heck
all these
yeah.
cool lights and everything.
Lights on your balcony?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a sucker for like string of outdoor lights. Just load them up.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, do you ever have you ever seen like $1 million views where it's just like the view of like a valley at sunset, or I don't know, like just
Yeah.
like a sunset on the beach. It's like, whoa,
Oh
like
my
that's so
gosh.
majestic.
Yeah, I one of my guilty pleasures is like having a glass of wine and just going on Zillow to like some cool region. I'll just like go out on a trip, and like check out some cool houses that are like probably like multi-million dollars or something, but they have these
Yeah.
cool views. And like, what would it be like to like live in that environment where like your entire wall is like glass and you're
Yeah.
basically in the forest, or like you're on the beach, or like wherever you are, but like you're having a
Yeah.
cup of coffee? Like that'd be so tight.
Heck yeah. Straight up. Yeah, it seems like I don't like, that scene from Twilight, or like the place where like the Colons live in Twilight, where it's just like all like forest around them.
Oh yeah, I think that was filmed up here in Washington actually.
Oh, really? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, like something.
Forks.
Forks. Forks. Forks.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that is like it's so tight. Like, yeah, like with the windows and just like having that as your wall. Like the outside is my wall. I don't know. Like
Yeah. I think like that's so cool. I don't know. I feel like houses are just so confining sometimes, but like you need to stay in them to be warm. So like, I don't know.
So I got a funny story for you. So I used
Sure.
to I used to work in retail, and
Oh
I
yeah, I remember with Coles, right?
yeah, and I remember like I helped out this dude. He was like an older guy, like pretty big, with like a like interesting voice. He had an interesting accent. He's from Louisiana,
Hmm.
and he so he leaves, and then he finds me later, and like we had a really good like interaction, and he just like, hey, come here. And so I walk over to him, and he's like, let me tell you something. Like, and he starts like just dropping wisdom on me. He just starts giving me like a bunch of like super important like life lessons. Like this like really tight stranger out of nowhere. And I found out he was a comedian. Anyways, so he one of the things he told me, he's like, yo man, you got to make sure your vibes are right when you walk into your house. And I'm just like, whoa, like it's just like so simple, but it makes such a big difference.
It
Like,
really does. Like put a little thought into where you live and where you spend your time.
yeah.
What makes you happy?
Yeah, he's like, you want the vibes right when you walk in, just super zened out, and then like it's just the perfect mood to just like light up with your girl if you're into that kind of thing, and it's just like, okay,
He's a wise man. It's a wise man right there.
yeah. It was such a trip, like having this giant comedian tell me wisdom. Anyways,
You're like,
yeah,
whoa, I just came here to like fold some shirts. I wasn't ready for this.
yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You wanna keep going, or you wanna wrap this up?
I would love to chat, but I do have some stuff to take care of tonight. I do have to get back to work a little bit, but I would love to chat with you again sometime. I had so much fun. Like,
Heck yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
do it again someday.
Yeah, let's do it. I had a great time. Maybe we can have a group chat with like Chris or something.
Oh my gosh, I'd love that. Get like Mercedes in there, whoever wants to join.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll we'll
Yeah.
we'll make something happen.
I'm gonna eventually visit LA someday. So when I'm there, I'll hit you up. See if you want
Yeah.
to hang out.
Yeah, let's go on an adventure.
Yeah.
We can go find like houses with like really cool views, and then I don't know.
Yes, go check out a bunch of like open houses, pretend like we're gonna buy or something.
Yeah, get all that in our like dream banks. Anyways,
Yeah.
is there anything you want to let the people know before we dip out?
I don't know, just life is good despite all the shit is going on. Like, life is good as long as you look at it that way.
Heck yeah.
Thanks for listening to the end if anybody makes it this far.
Yeah. Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
good to see you.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.